Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're grabbing our magnifying glasses and putting on our detective hats. We're going to dive into ancient texts and astronomical charts to pinpoint one of the most important dates in all of human history.
So, what if I told you that we could figure out the exact date of a major historical event from nearly 2,000 years ago? I'm not talking about just the year or, maybe the season. I mean the specific day.
According to a really compelling mix of history, astronomy, and prophecy, this is it. This is the proposed date for the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. I mean, that is an incredibly precise claim for something that happened so long ago.
Right, that's the big question, isn't it? How on earth could anyone know that? Well, think of it like a historical cold case. And to solve it, we need to piece together clues from a bunch of different, really interesting sources. Okay, let's get into it.
To crack this thing, we need to bring together evidence from three totally different fields. It's kind of like a three-legged stool. If all three legs are solid and they line up perfectly, the whole thing is rock solid. So here's what's in our evidence file. We've got Roman historical records that give us a solid time frame. We have super specific details from the biblical Gospels, and we've got precise astronomical calendars to check everybody's math. Okay, first up, the historical records. Every account we have agrees that the crucifixion happened under the watch of Pontius Pilate. Now we know from Roman history that he was the governor of Judea from 26 AD to 36 AD. So boom, right there we have a clear 10-year window. The event had to have happened in there somewhere.
Now for our second piece of evidence, this one's a huge biblical clue. The Gospel of Luke gives us this amazingly specific time marker for when John the Baptist, and then Jesus right after him, started their public work. This is a crucial anchor point for our timeline.
So, when exactly was the 15th year of Tiberius? Well, this is where it gets interesting. Historians have figured out that many provinces didn't start counting from when he became the sole emperor. Instead, they counted from when he started ruling alongside the previous emperor, Augustus. And if you date it that way, his 15th year lands squarely in 27 AD. Remember that date? 27 AD. It's going to be important.
And now for our third clue. The sky itself. The Gospels are clear that the crucifixion happened on a Friday, during the Jewish festival of Passover. Passover always starts on the 14th day of the Hebrew month of Nisan. So what happens when we run those facts through modern astronomical software? Well, it turns out that in the year 31 AD, Nisan 14 fell on, you guessed it, a Friday. Specifically Friday, March 29th. The alignment is just perfect.
Okay, so this is pretty amazing, right? We've got historical records, biblical accounts, and even astronomy, all pointing to a ministry that kicks off in 27 AD and a crucifixion in 31 AD. But the master key, the thing that locks this all together with frankly breathtaking precision, is an ancient prophetic code, written hundreds of years before any of this happened.
This code comes from the book of Daniel, and it lays out this incredible timeline of 70 weeks. But these aren't your typical 7-day weeks. In this kind of prophetic language, 1 week actually means 7 years. So what we're really looking at is a detailed 490-year blueprint for the future of the Jewish people.
Now, what's so crucial about this is that the prophetic clock doesn't start at some vague, random time. No, it starts with a real, verifiable, on-the-books historical event, an official royal decree to go and rebuild Jerusalem after it had been destroyed.
Okay, so here's where we can actually do the math. That specific decree from King Artaxerxes is historically dated to 457 BC. The prophecy then says that 69 of those weeks, which is 483 years, would pass until the Messiah, the Anointed One, would appear. So if we start our clock at 457 BC and run it forward 483 years, where do we land? Exactly in 27 AD. The very same year we calculated from the Gospel of Luke. It's just wild.
And this is the moment. This is where everything just clicks into place. All those separate puzzle pieces, the Roman history, Luke's specific account, and Daniel's ancient prophecy, they all snap together to form one single incredibly cohesive timeline.
I mean, just look at how beautifully this all works together. If Jesus was born around 4 BC, he would have been about 30 years old when he began his ministry in the fall of 27 AD, which, by the way, perfectly matches what Luke's gospel says. Then, a ministry lasting 3.5 years takes you directly to the spring of 31 AD for the crucifixion. It all just fits.
But hold on, because Daniel's prophecy has one more jaw-dropping detail. It says that the Messiah would be cut off or killed
in the middle of that 70th and final week. Not at the end of it, but right smack in the middle. So let's think about this. If that final 7-year week starts with Jesus' ministry in the fall of 27 AD, what's the exact middle of that week? Well, it's 3.5 years later. That brings us to the spring of 31 AD. The crucifixion lands with mathematical precision in the very center of the final prophetic week. It's unbelievable.
But the story isn't quite over. After this whole prophetic timeline was fulfilled, history itself gives us this kind of echo that confirms just how significant it all was, and it played out over the course of a single generation.
You know, the number 40 is a really big deal in the Bible. It shows up all the time. It represents a period of testing, a time of major transition, and most importantly, it represents the length of one generation. So check out this timeline. From the crucifixion in 31 AD to the absolute catastrophic destruction of Jerusalem and its temple by the Romans in 70 AD is about 40 years. This lines up perfectly with Jesus' own warnings that judgment would fall upon this generation, the actual generation that was alive to see all of these things happen.
So, after all of that, what are we supposed to make of this? Is this just the most amazing series of historical coincidences you've ever heard of? Or does this incredibly interconnected timeline point to something much, much bigger?
Well, if this interpretation is correct, the implications are absolutely massive. It suggests that the book of Daniel contains genuine predictive prophecy. It would seem to confirm the identity of Jesus as the Messiah that was foretold centuries earlier. And it totally explains why so many people in the first century were filled with this intense anticipation. They weren't just hoping for something. They were watching a prophetic clock tick down. Ultimately, the entire case rests on this incredible precision. The idea that you can draw a straight line from a well-documented Persian decree, follow it through an ancient prophetic code, and land on the exact timeline of a teacher from Galilee is, for many, one of the most compelling pieces of evidence in all of history.
And that leaves us with one last, really provocative thought. If a blueprint that was laid out 2,500 years ago could map out the past with this kind of stunning accuracy, what might that suggest about prophecies that have yet to come to pass? Definitely something to think about.